have never felt that it was my choice to be a reader. I felt like that was my destiny.
And tarot is folklore, it's stories, it's something we pass on through mothers, through daughters, through family.
Ever since I was very young, I could walk into a room and know what was going on with everybody. That doesn't mean I could read their thoughts. I was just real aware of the emotional state of everybody in the room. I got it.
We become privy to some of the deepest, darkest, most sensitive areas in a person.
I came out here in the fall of '75 because I'd been accepted at the U of O Law School. Decided not to do that and went to Mexico for the winter. Went down to a friend's house to pick out a book because she lived there all the time. And literally, an astrology book fell off the shelf at my feet. One of the classics, which I didn't know at the time. And I picked it up and I knew that language. And that was the beginning. That just kind of started me on this path that's been, what, 22 years later.
My grandmother had a regular set of playing cards that she'd written in information that said she could tell fortunes with them. And it wasn't true tarot, but it was fortune-telling cards that she'd been interested in. So it started with my grandparents.
She read cards and I watched her, and she taught me over a period of when I was probably in my early teens, something like that. And I taught my daughter when she was around the same age.
It's my father that I get, I think, this stuff through, this desire to indulge in the kind of otherworldly kind of thing.
I think that my first real contact with astrology was through watching cartoons as a kid, and Wendy the Witch was my favorite cartoon.
I was good at it. I could read the tarot. I could run. I could feel the energy. I could bend that stick of my grandfather's. He said, of all the grandchildren, you've got more juice than the rest. So it was pointed out to me that I had talents. I could feel. When I could hold a stone, I could feel it. It would talk to me. I would feel vibrations and hear, feel things from it.
I think it's all connected, ultimately. I think that the tarot and astrology and reading tea leaves and, reading scatological markings, and, I think that it is all connected, and it's all part of a language that we're just remembering.
You take Leo, which is probably the one that most people recognize as symbolized by the lion and by the sun and that sort of thing. Sure, there's a card in the deck called the sun, and it's about consciousness, and it's about being out, and it's about being out here in the external world, which is very much what Leo is about. And we could go through every single symbol in the deck, and we could do that. Virgo and the Empress, and the Hierophant and Taurus. We can go through all of them, and I do that with people. Every single card in the deck, from my perspective, is an aspect of the human psyche. It's a map of the human psyche. The biggest difference for me between astrology and tarot is that astrology is not nearly as interactive. An astrologer carries the information with them and understands how to read the patterns and to interpret combinations of patterns, and then delivers that to the person who is coming for a reading. And that's tremendously potent, and yet my orientation is really about a person engaging in their own change and engaging in understanding and raising their own consciousness.
tool like counseling. Well, you counsel through either astrology or tarot, just using these tools. Actually, in some ways, it's a faster tool because it gets down to the heart a lot faster than trying to get people to bring it up in themselves. I'm not a fortune teller at all, nor am I interested in that. I'm interested only with the path that people walk and where they go spiritually, and to help them in that path. I teach what's called practical spirituality. How do you take spirit and bring that part of you right down? Because I believe that we're spirit learning how to be human. We're not human learning how to be spirit. Okay? It used to be used more as a fortune-telling tool, and now I think it's totally accepted as a tool for counseling, for helping people to see where they are and to move through their blocks or whatever you want to call them. Definitely.
I'm convinced that a reading by a good astrologer trained in some therapeutic model cuts 6 weeks to 6 months off the therapeutic process, because you get down to specific ages that might have been traumatizing for a child. You get down to the specific issues. You can really read the history and background psychologically, therapeutically, you know, using the birth chart. Astrology, I think, has the greatest application in the field of psychology.
My job is to give people a place to come in and slump and let their insides have it say. And I think that's what's most important. I have very few answers for people, but what I try to do is give people a vehicle through which they can find their own answers. Baseline, bottom line is, in my work, you have the answers. My job is to help you find them.
Most people who are in the business, who are really in the business, especially people who've been in it a long time, really, our belief is that we're really here in service to help. And more than anything else, it's like that doctor's code about first do no harm. And so you find most of us are really dedicated to that form of healing or help.
I have a master's education in expressive therapies, and so that's inclusive art therapy, movement therapy, psychodrama. I work with toning. I did a lot of voice work, and it's basic psychodynamic transpersonal psychology. When I'm working with people, I'm very much aware of the different parts of their psyche, and try to draw their awareness into that area. And that's where astrology is so nice, because the planets are archetypes, and we all carry archetypes within us. And though I'm not a Jungian, I do deal a lot with archetypes. And so when we're working astrologically, we can call on those archetypes, and then people can associate with them. One of the things that I do is I help people pierce through the confusion and help them get to that place inside themselves where they know something, but they don't want to know it. And so they keep trying to fool themselves with, well, maybe this or maybe that, or well, if only. But the truth is that we generally, when people come to get a reading, they generally know what they need to hear.
A reading tells a story about you at this moment in time. And as I turn the cards, they start telling you about you, okay? And your guides are talking through me and through the cards. So some people are frightened, but your guides are there, so there's nothing to be frightened about, because what they want you to know is all that'll come through. But nothing is set in stone. Everything has free choice. And You can walk whatever path you want to whatever probability is available for you out there.
Like I said, we're more sensitized. We're more sensitive to the world around us, that we see more, we notice more, not maybe more, but different things, that we're clued in, we're wired differently than a lot of other folks. And so we're wired in such a way that allows us to notice things that other people can't. And it's somewhat on a more basal level, like the cat is wired in differently, or a young child is. So it's not like a superior, inferior thing. It's just more that we are tuned in on a different level of paying attention. Because of that, there's a price to pay, and the price is I can't go to the Wild Hop anymore. It's like I can, but I have to think about it beforehand and know that if I'm going to do that, that I might come home really tired. Because being with that many people who are in an expressive way of being, whether it's on drugs or alcohol or just having a really good time, that I feel it. I feel people really in a really deep level. So I have to, what I call, shield myself.
The amount of effort that it takes to make a living doing this is tremendous. I'm very fortunate in that I do have a national clientele, and if I didn't have a national clientele, I would have to hustle a lot. I mean, as it is, I still have to hustle. You know, as it is, I travel to Florida 3 or 4 times a year. I'm going to be going to Dallas probably 3 times a year. I need to make my way back to Montreal. You know, I have to move around the planet a bit to be able to make my living doing this.
Financially, I've made my living the last 20 years as an astrologer, supported my son. I don't own a home. I have no savings. I have 2 or 3 weeks at a time, a couple times a year where things are slow and I fall behind and then I scramble to catch up, you know. So I know there are people in town who make more money than I do. I'm committed to having a sliding scale, for example. I have clients that I've seen for the better part of 20 years. The world could truly use more good astrologers.
Tarot and astrology are really powerful tools, along with regressions and channeling, and any of those are tools. And our world is missing something because they don't recognize these as tools. And if they were integrated into all kinds of therapies, I just think the therapy could blossom out, and the person could come to realization much faster with tools from both sides, from the intuitive and the reasoning mind, because that's what it's all about, is the balance between the two.